Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cosmic Circus Review. My name is Vin. With me, as always, is John.
Hello.
And today we're doing Nosferatu, retrospective. So we're going to talk about the 1922 movie by F.W. Murnau. We're going to talk about the 1979 movie by Werner Herzog. John,
And we
how you
might
feeling?
and we might touch on the name of one of it too. We might.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about that. John, how are you feeling today? You excited about these movies?
I'm interested to talk about them. I am interested to talk about it.
Okay, because
I
I've heard only two things from you, which was one, then I'm trying to watch the first movie, and then number two, then I'm trying to watch the second movie.
yeah,
It sounds like it was a bit effortful for you. Did you enjoy these movies?
it's not that it was an effort. It was because now to give a little bit of context, I wasn't just watching these movies.
Okay.
It is award season right now, and
Mhm.
we are in the thick of voting for what is the best in everything right now.
Mhm, mhm,
So
mhm.
I have watched not just these movies. I have watched probably 10 movies over the weekend.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. So, and on top of trying to write, and
Mhm,
on top of trying to make money, and
mhm.
on top of trying to be a person in a wheelchair, and on top of being a dog owner, and on top of being a human. Anyway,
And
so
on
it's
top of being my friends, because even earlier in this week we had a moment where you were just talking to me like a pal. So you make time for everything.
make
So that's
time for
amazing, John.
everything.
Good
And
for you.
I feel like Nosferatu is draining my soul. So anyway, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. So we have Nosferatu, 1922, A Symphony of Horror by F.W. Murnau, screenplay by Henrik Galeen, based on Dracula by Bram Stoker, of course, starring Max Schreck as the titular Count Orlok in this movie.
Yeah.
Cinematography by Franz Arno Wagner, and music by Hans Erdmann. Now, of course, with these silent movies, there's different scores. The version I listened to had some of Hans Erdmann's music and also had some other score by Bernd Heller. So, but there's different versions with different scores, and that'll affect your experience. Yeah,
I genuinely have no idea which one I watched. Like
that's fine. That's fine.
I found a version
Mm-hmm,
and it was on like an archive
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
website.
Yeah,
I watched it
yeah.
on there. But I genuinely have no idea if it was the right music or not.
I I don't think there's a right one. There might be some that like you like better or not, but with these silent films, it's kind of up to interpretation what kind of music you put on it and how it accentuates music. I just want to mention real quick. Recently there's a new death metal score by Josef von Bissem. I haven't heard that one, but I think it would be really cool to check out if anyone's interested. Death metal,
Death
Nosferatu.
metal for Nosferatu,
Yeah,
and you're just now bringing this up because
I discovered it this morning.
I would have rewatched it just for that experience.
Yeah.
Just for that
I'll see if I
experience.
can find it online and I'll send it to you because that would be pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this 1922 movie first. So this was your first time watching it, right?
It is. I've never seen.
Uh-huh.
My only context of Nosferatu is like what I've seen, like in like iconic imagery, like a lot of horror
Pop
movies.
culture. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of horror movies and pop culture reference the look, or they'll use the footage in like different frames.
Hmm.
My earliest
Hot
memory of seeing,
Frosty. Hot Frosty uses a shot from Nosferatu 1922.
I mean, what is a Nosferatu plot without bringing up Hot Frosty, right? My earliest memory of seeing the vampire, that like version of the vampire, is you're gonna laugh. Ernest Scared Stupid.
I've never even heard of that. What's that?
You've never heard of the Ernest movies? Like the really like. So there was a guy named Jim. I think his name is Jim Barney. He
Hmm.
was like a over the top personality from like the 80s and 90s that played a
Hmm.
character named Ernest.
Hmm.
Like this like redneck hillbilly,
Hmm.
stupid character that like gets in his shenanigans. It's very physical comedy. It's
Hmm.
like very corny physical comedy for kids, you know.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. This
And he
looks like
made
something I would find at the video store as a kid.
but it came out theatrically. It actually came out theatrically, but I went to go see Ernest Scared Stupid in theaters actually. Like
Wow.
that is like well, it's like gateway horror for kids. It's
Oh,
gateway
cool. Okay.
horror for kids,
Okay.
and it's actually kind of creepy. It's actually kind of creepy. Like even what is it? Dan Murrow. You know Dan Murrow, the film critic.
Yeah. On YouTube. Yeah.
Even Dan Murrow referenced this film when bringing up things that like kind of like traumatized him as a kid.
All right.
Like there's like little bits of like horror in this film that like that give you that flavor as
Uh-huh.
a child.
Uh-huh.
Before you understand what horror is.
Yeah.
But like in the it was either in the credits or I can't remember where, but I remember seeing that vampire in the film. Now I don't
Okay.
remember where, but I remember seeing it and even thinking then that is a creepy looking dude.
Yeah.
Creepy
Yeah.
looking dude. So Max Schreck is it Max Schreck?
Max Schreck, that's right.
Man, the way he looks is
Unbelievable. Yeah.
perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection. And I'm not aware of the history. I don't know if he like had like a like if there was some kind of like condition that made him look like that, or if he actually just like all I
No, that's
know.
makeup. That's makeup, dude. You can find what he actually looks like. He looks like a normal guy.
Well, I can tell you this: they did a great job on him.
Yeah, that's all prosthetics and makeup. Yeah.
Great job. It was amazing work for 1922.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes. I,
but
I think
that
I think we've talked about it before. So a couple of years ago, I did a huge deep dive into silent German horror. This exact stuff. I watched over 20 movies from the era, all silent horror. So this is not one of my favorites. I think F.W. Murnau, I think this was one of his first great ones. Then he builds on this. He had a great movie in 1924 called The Last Laugh, and then 1926 Faust. And those, I think, are masterpieces. So if you like this, anyone watching, if you like this, go check out his other movies, his later movies, because he just gets better and better and better as he goes. But yes, the whole era, the German Expressionism, that stuff that inspired Tim Burton, everything looks phenomenal. The sets, the costumes, the makeup. This is very tame compared to what came later and other things like even Caligari or Waxworks or Metropolis or anything like that.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Well, the one thing that I can say about this film is that having seen all three versions now,
Mm.
I do think this is still the best version
Oh,
because
yeah.
the way that it's designed and crafted, it fits for that era. The story, the look, the feel. The one thing that I kept thinking when I was like, because like I don't watch a lot of silent films.
Mhm.
I've seen a few, but I could do better in that department.
Mhm.
But the one thing that I was thinking about is, the way they shot it back then in 1922 with that camera that they had, it gives everything a stop motion aesthetic.
Yes. Sometimes
That's
they
kind of
literally use stop motion. Literally, sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes they do, and it gives the whole film an extra layer of creepiness
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that fits the movie so
Yeah.
perfectly. There's one sequence where they go downstairs and he's like, they're in the ship. They go downstairs and he just like raises up.
Yeah.
And the way that it is filmed, it is so disturbing and just so beautifully done.
Yeah. There's some really,
Um,
really great stuff in this. One of my favorite things is because it was black and white, they choose to color tint it. Did you see a version with color tints?
I did not. No, I
Oh,
did
so
not.
yours is 100% black and white?
And I have no regrets. I have no
Okay. Okay.
regrets.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Mainly because I dig the black and white. I dig
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
the shadow play. The shadow play in this movie is incredible. I
Yeah.
love the shadow play in it.
But some silent films, when you watch the restoration, sometimes they put color tints and they change the colors based on the emotion or the mood or the atmosphere of that scene. So
Yeah.
it in a way it plays with color, even though it's a black and white movie, but it plays with color in a way to affect your emotion. And I really like seeing when they do that. So that's one thing I really liked about this. Um, Also, I love the facial performances because they're not speaking. So everything they're expressing is through these like very dramatic facial expressions, all the hair, the makeup, it's all like over the top. It's so theatrical. And I love these movies for that because it's so
It's great.
crazy
Yeah.
bananas.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great performances for being quiet. And the one thing that I noticed while rewatching it, because now I haven't seen the new one, and like
Mhm.
they all follow the same kind of like structure, like
Okay.
all the same structure with like different with different ingredients thrown in, but it's mostly the same like tell.
Yeah.
And I think this is just an amazingly crafted film for that time. And it's so disturbing with so little.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't do a lot. It doesn't do
Yeah.
a lot to get to you. I like the I mentioned on the pod, I think. No, I didn't mention on the pod. We mentioned the off pod last
Hmm.
week.
Hmm.
That I thought that like that the new version like owed a lot to Bram Stoker's Francis Ford Coppola. And then like I watched this film and I'm like, no,
Okay.
this film, owes like Coppola owes everything to Nosferatu. You know what
Wow.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Because the thing is that there's the original novel, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Then there's
right.
Nosferatu, which takes some elements, but is also a little bit original. Um, and those are like the foundations on which everything is built. Even in the 1979 movie, they take the Nosferatu movie, but they take the names from the book. And then Bram Stoker's Dracula, they try to be more authentic to the book, but they still take some elements from. So that it's always they're all in conversation, all
It's
in
always
conversation. Yeah.
it's always mixing and matching and stuff like that. And Coppola did a lot of things similar to Nosferatu,
Hmm.
shadow play,
Yeah. Yeah.
visual aesthetics, like just playing with like image, like playing with like imagery, like the visual.
Yeah, Coppola's
Makes
visuals are insane. They're so cool in
yeah,
that movie.
they're so cool, and I just think this might be the quintessential vampire. Like
I agree, and I
it,
think because, like you just said, because it's that silent film, because it's shot with these kind of like these cameras, and it's kind of like grainy, and there's like shadows on the edges of the frame. It all just adds to it. It makes it even creepier,
it's
right?
great. It's great.
Yeah,
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 that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think this film would be good in any other era. I think it is good. Like it is the perfect film for the perfect time, for the perfect era that just like matched the horror with the right time and the right place.
hmm.
It is so good. It is a very good horror film.
Now, something interesting to bring up because I have not seen the new movie, but I know Robert Eggers likes to play with eras. He likes to play with time periods. He likes to use vintage techniques.
Mhm.
Does he in the new movie? Is he able to kind of recapture some of this vintage feel, or does he do something completely different?
So the way that I'll describe the new one is that, I'm gonna first quote James, like James, sorry, James, my
James
brain is
Preston
on
Poole, our guy James.
James Preston Poole. I'm going
Yeah.
to quote him. It is very similar to King Kong, Peter Jackson, where it like takes the 40s King Kong and kind of like updates it to a degree. At the same time, what I will say is that okay, I'm going to move on a little bit to Werner Herzog,
Okay.
to his 1979 film. First off, the man needs to stick to documentaries. Just want to say that. I think the 1979 version was a slog. I could barely handle it. I thought it was terrible. I almost fell asleep 3 times. I was never scared.
And you're watching this in the
Um,
middle of the day. It's not even nighttime.
it doesn't matter. It's terrible. If I watched it at night, I would have fell asleep. I would have fell asleep. It's boring. It's a boring film. It's not good. I'm sorry. Don't watch it. Like the one thing that I will say, the cinematography in it is great. The
Okay,
cinematography
sure. Yeah.
very good in that 1929 version.
I like the
The
music
whole
also. I thought the music was good.
the whole film is an absolute slog. It's just so insanely boring. So
Hmm.
boring.
Hmm.
Which brings me to 2024, which is then this movie stressed me out in the best way possible.
Good, good, good.
So, the way Robert Eggers did it is that he did a lot of the same things as the first, but he used his best tools to
Hmm.
make it his own. And the one thing that Robert Eggers is good at is atmosphere. He's very good at making thick, unrelenting, stressful, gripping your like
Hmm.
armrest
Hmm.
atmosphere.
Hmm.
And the whole movie from the very first frame, like you're just like, bro, I am tense right now. I am so insanely tense. I feel like we got screeners as awards, and I rewatched it during the day, and I was still insanely tense.
Wow.
And so the one thing that I can say is that compared to Werner Herzog's film, is that Eggers understands what was there
Hmm.
and what made the first one good,
Hmm.
and brought his flavor to it
Good,
without
good.
hurting the source material.
And that's the best way in general. That's the best way to do a remake. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's little subtle changes, but they only add, they never subtract.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, it
Yeah,
only
yeah, it
adds
does.
to it. It only adds to it. Where compared to Werner Herzog's, I just feel like it didn't really add anything, but just
Okay.
try to be
Yeah.
like a horror drama.
I will say, and hold on, let me go through the credits for just 1 second. So, Nosferatu the Vampire, 1979, by Werner Herzog, directed and written by, based on both the novel and the 1922 movie, starring Klaus Kinski as the vampire. Music by Popol Vuh. I thought this one, I thought the ending was better. I liked the ending a lot, where I feel the Lucy character, she gets more to do. She's a little more active, and her strategy to take down the vampire. She sacrifices herself. She makes this she makes like a circle around the Jonathan character, but then at the end Jonathan escapes and he's the new vampire. So the idea is that like it goes on forever. I like that ending a lot. Sorry for spoilers.
Well, and what you'll notice whenever you do get to the 2024 is that there was a little bit of, not everything, but like, Eggers kind of borrows little bits from
Cool.
both.
Great. That's really good to hear.
Like,
Yeah.
like even the what's her name? Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah.
Even that character gets a lot more to do in the new one.
Great.
Than I think even in Herzog's version. She's more central.
Okay.
Then because like the guy
Jonathan
in number 2, even in number 1, was more of a central character, I think, than
always. Yeah. Yeah.
than her. But like in this one, Hoult is more of a supporting character, in my opinion.
Okay. That's really cool to hear. I have an interesting question for you. You probably know Anya Taylor-Joy was originally supposed to be Lucy. Do you think it works with Lily Rose Depp, or would it have been better with her?
She is like amazing in this movie.
Great. Okay. That's really good to hear.
At first, it didn't work for me
Mhm.
because it felt a little melodramatic
Okay.
with the performance.
Mhm.
And then the second act kicks into gear.
That's really where things get more interesting. Yeah.
And it's just, no, I mean, it goes places neither movie has gone.
Okay. That's great. That's really good.
Movie has gone. And I don't want to really go too far into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it goes into places that I was like, whoa, what?
Okay.
And what I like about the new one, and it kind of hinted, it was kind of hinted in number 2 and number 1.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of a spiritual element in the third one than there is in the other 2. Like it plays on the forces of hell a little more than the other 2. Like, and which is an actor's thing to do. Like where he brings a little bit of supernatural flavor into the film. So there's a little bit of that going on.
That sounds really good.
It's pretty incredible. The Werner Herzog version, the one thing that I do appreciate about both of them is that they touch on the voyage of the Demeter,
right,
a little bit, and I feel like it kind of makes you want to harken back to that film that came out last year.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but was it good?
It's not. It's not good.
Because it's such a shame, because that movie, I don't know if you know, it's in development hell for like 25 years. They spent so long trying to make that one movie. So long. And it stinks, apparently.
It is bad, but what you can tell is the way the vampire looks in it, you can tell that even the Voyage of the Demeter was trying to take inspiration from that version, from the Nosferatu version of the character, where it's bald, it's got the ears, like it looks like a bat almost, without wings. So I love how that first Nosferatu film almost inspired Dracula going forward for almost a decade.
Yeah, it's iconic. It really is. If you look at the 1920s and 30s, there are actually several Dracula movies. Nosferatu isn't the only one. Bela Lugosi isn't the only one. There's some others, but I think Nosferatu really is the one that cemented it. Then you have Bela Lugosi, and those are like the two, like the yin and the yang kind of. One is like more horror based. One is more like Americanized, cartoony almost. And those are like the two.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the German ones. Yeah,
I do too. What is your thoughts on Gary Oldman and his hair?
I haven't seen it in a few years, but I think the movie's extremely well made. but I'm not a huge fan. Um, I don't know. It's really tough because I think I like vampires, but there's just something about this Dracula story specifically. It just never clicks with me. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
I think the one I like the most might be that Nosferatu 1922. Um, but I've seen so many versions of this Dracula story, and I've read the book I think twice, and it just I don't know. There's something about it that never clicks with me. But
So
Frankenstein, I'm a
I'm,
huge Frankenstein fan. Yeah.
I'm very jealous. Well, I'm about to get to that too. I'm very jealous of that, by the way, because like I've never read Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Hmm.
but one of the first books I ever read was Frankenstein. It's one of the
Hmm.
first books that I ever read. I loved it. Loved
As
it.
a kid,
Loved it.
one of the first books you
And
read as a kid. It's not an easy
I,
book.
I read Frankenstein. Yeah, my family was pretty impressed, like even when I was younger,
Uh-huh.
because I read hard books like at a very early age.
Wow.
I read like Frankenstein, The Call of the Wild, Journey to
Yeah.
the Center of the Earth. Like
Wow. Classic. Yeah.
I read a lot of classics at a very early age. Like books that were not very easy, and it was I should read more now
Hmm.
than I
Hmm.
do, but I read a lot as a kid. And Frankenstein was one of the first ones that I read, and I remember sitting in my room, like younger, and just being completely captivated by that story.
Yeah.
There's just something timeless about the horror of the novel, and
Yeah.
it's accessible. It's accessible, and it doesn't feel overbearing, even for a kid.
Yeah.
Like
And I
in
love
my
the
opinion.
structure. I love the structure of the Frankenstein book, how it's like there's a story within a story within a story. There's like letters and journal entries, and you keep changing the narrator. You keep changing the point of view. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because you go from Frankenstein
Hmm.
to the monsters, like, and you kind of like switch
Hmm.
back and forth, right? Yeah,
Hmm. And there's also the captain who finds the body at the beginning, right? So there's all these different points of view. Oh God, I love that book. I love that book, Frankenstein.
and I,
Um,
and I,
mhm.
and I love the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like there's an atmosphere of dread all through that novel where like you're just waiting, like where it all leads to the
Yeah.
finale where the monster finally tracks him down and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
honestly, there's
they
some
reunite at the end. Yeah, reunite.
and it's amazing even in Nosferatu, and almost every version that's been made, there's an element of that too, this dread,
Yeah.
unrelenting dread of the monster approaching as it like crosses into the
Hmm.
city, like crossing the ocean to come
Hmm.
into to come home
Yeah.
to his new home.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say that I've liked a little bit of the new one, and again, I'm trying to be vague because, like, I know you haven't seen it, and I
Hmm.
don't want to give too much away to you. Is I feel like this one does the plague the best, the plague
Okay.
aspects,
Yeah. Yeah.
because every single version has like a plague. The closer he gets, like it's like the
Right.
more he gets closer, the worse things get in the city.
Yeah.
There's just like there's this conversation about the
Yeah.
shadow and stuff. Like the more gets near, this version does that the best, in my opinion.
Okay. Great. I'm really excited
Right?
to hear that.
It does that version the best. But of all the versions of that character, of the role, Max Schreck
Hmm.
just cannot be outmatched, can be outdone. I think it's just hard to replicate that look, that creepy vibe that he gave off. Kind of like a brown recluse coming out of a shadow. It's just such a creepy character. And I yeah, great film, man. It was a good
It's
idea to
great.
watch this.
I'm really glad. I guess I'm sorry for forcing you through the 1979 movie, but I really think it's interesting to compare and contrast all the different versions, right? Successes and failures. And I think there are things in the 79 movie that I do appreciate compared to 22, but 22 is the classic for a reason, right?
I I don't regret watching it. Like I
Okay.
watched it just fine. Um, it's just a slog. It's just
Yeah,
that I I'm not really familiar with a lot of Herzog's
me
narrative
neither.
work.
I need to, but I'm not. Yeah.
I know he's a great documentarian, and for some reason he hates chickens. For some reason,
What?
yeah, have you not heard about this?
No.
So
What?
a friend of mine showed me this. It's so funny. And for anybody watching on YouTube, Go look for it yourself. It cracks me up. There's a video, very infamous, of Werner Herzog ranting about chickens. Like he can't stand the animal chicken.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's so funny.
Okay,
I think
I will look this up.
it's either chickens or turkeys. It's one of
Poultry, some kind of poultry. Okay.
it's so funny. It's so funny.
All right, I looked it up. One more
But
thing I want
I'm
to add.
not.
I had in my notes for Nosferatu 1979. It kind of ties into what you were saying. In my notes, a little more positive. I said it's similar. It's kind of dreamlike. It's slow. It's meditative, and it reminded me a little bit of Blade Runner, and that you have to be in the mood for it. Because if you watch Blade Runner expecting like an action-packed, like awesome, no, it's not that. And this is not some action-packed Dracula vampire movie either. This is very slow and meditative and kind of thoughtful. But this does not.
I don't
It
think it
doesn't.
works for. I don't think it works for the character. I don't think it works, and I don't think that version of the character is scary at all.
No, he's creepy. He's creepy in a way. It's different. But
The thing is,
yeah.
look, I feel like the way that it's adapted, and I think this is why I think Eggers has it figured out better than him. Herzog like me adapted it straight, like the character. I'm not talking about like the movie,
Mhm.
but he adapted that vampire straight. Like it was just like ripped out from
Mhm.
1922 and then put in color.
Yeah, really. That's how the movie feels. Really.
I don't think it works that way. I don't think it works. I think that actor
Hmm.
does not give off the vibe of
Interesting.
Nosferatu.
Interesting.
I don't
Okay.
think he's particularly scary.
Hmm.
I felt no suspense at all
Hmm.
the entire time I watched him.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
Now
it's
in
kind of like a
comparison,
remake for the sake of a remake, like saying, "Here's the shot. Here's the shot. Here's the shot. Look, we made it again."
no. I don't think it's a shot for shot remake. I think that
Pretty
that
close.
character, I
Hmm.
think that character is a straight
Okay.
remake
Yeah.
of that character.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they didn't change much about him, and they didn't get the best actor for it. I think
That's a
there's
hot
no.
take. A lot of people like his performance.
Well, I think when
Your
you see
opinion is
the new
valid.
version,
Yeah.
I think when
Yeah.
you see the new version, you'll see what I mean.
Uh-huh.
Like
Who's the actor in the new one?
it's a Skarsgård. I can't remember which one, but it is
Of
a
course it
Skarsgård.
is. Of course it is.
But think about the new.
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah.
So Bill Skarsgård, the way he did it, and again, I'm going to be big because they hold it back.
Hmm.
They hold it back. But the one thing that I think Eggers understands is that you're adapting. You're adapting. What worked in
Great.
1922,
Yeah. Yeah.
what worked in 1922 is not going to work in 2024.
Yeah.
So, and same thing in 1929. I don't think what worked in 1922 works in 1929. Now, if somebody disagrees with me,
Mhm.
that's fine. That's fine. It's my opinion. Get over it.
John, let me tell you something real quick. I know you love David Chen and his podcast, right? Have you heard of the podcast Right Along with Robert Cargill?
I have.
Have you listened to it?
I'm
Yeah.
mostly Robert Cargo actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
not like he does some fantastic stuff. By the way, if you ever do go to it, he's there every
oh,
single year.
that's great.
Every single year, like just so yeah. That's another
Anyway,
story.
hold on a second. So in one of their episodes, they have a whole discussion about adaptation, and I remember so clearly. They say you have to get the soul right. You can update it, you can change the genders, change the race, you can change whatever the hell you want, but you have to get the soul of the original right.
Yes,
Whatever you do, whether you're adapting Superman or Dracula or Frankenstein or Ready Player One, you have to get the soul of the original right. Then you can change whatever you want around that because the core will be the same. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my point. I don't think they did that with 1979. I feel like they call it. It feels like cosplay. It feels like cosplay. It feels like you got the guy to look like him.
Yeah.
I don't feel the vibe of that 1920. I don't
Definitely,
feel
the
the vibe.
atmosphere is different. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel the vibes of the 1922.
Mm.
What I like about Eggers, and again, you'll find out, is that they brought back the intimidation of Nosferatu, the actual like overwhelming dread of being in his presence.
Amazing. And
Yeah,
Eggers is so good at that, right?
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. Like, and again, anybody who's expecting when you go in to watch it, remove any preconceived notion of the first like because it doesn't look exactly like 1922.
Okay.
But he made it his own, and he brought back the intimidation and the overwhelming fear of being around stuff like this creature that is just strange to be around. This presence that just makes you uncomfortable and squirm and unsettling to be around that individual. That's what I like about the third one. I don't think it's captured in number two. I don't know, not number two in the 1979 remake. I just don't think it's there. I think it is. Yes, it's quiet, it's meditative, it's a slow burn. It's also just not scary. It's not scary, and it should be scary. Nosferatu, it should be scary, and he wasn't. I wasn't even creeped out by him.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Good conversation, John. This is great, and I really like that. Even though we were talking about these three movies, we still touched on so many other versions of the Dracula story, right? Because we talked about Last Voyage of Demeter. We talked about Bram Stoker's Dracula from '92. There's also a couple other silent versions I'll mention. The Hands of Orlok. I think that's 1924. Then there's also Vampyre, which I don't remember when that was. But there's a couple. There's in the German silent films. There's like 4 or 5 versions of Dracula, and just this like little the 1920s era. Nosferatu is probably the best of them, but there's so many, and each of them are so different and so stylish and so unique. So there's lots of stuff to check out.
Well, the only other one that I could think of that kind of like took influence from Nosferatu, and I think it's a little bit of an underrated vampire film. 30 Days a Night. You ever see
I
that?
haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen that.
30 Days a Night. It kind of takes a little bit of influence from that
I
visual look in Nosferatu.
Great. This looks cool.
Yeah, I think it's a bit underrated. It's not great, but I also think it's underrated. It's an underrated vampire film.
Good stuff. Yeah. Just talking about vampire films, I was just thinking about Marvel and Blade.
It's not going to be good. I'm sorry. I have no faith in Marvel doing vampires. I have zero faith in it. I got no faith in it at all.
It's sad. Someday.
Well, we could go on a rant about that, but the one thing that I know is that a company like Disney, they're not going to take the same risk as a studio like 20th Century Fox before they got bought by Disney.
True.
Or a studio like New Line Cinema that made the first Blade. You know what?
Yeah.
It is not. Was it New Line Cinema? I want to be sure on that.
It was. Yeah.
That's the one thing that scares me about that project, because it takes a studio that's going to take a risk to bring the crazy for a story like Blade. And I don't think Blade's going to work at Disney Studios.
No, they really have to. No. I'm an optimist, but maybe there's a reason why it's not getting made.
No, I think that's exactly the reason why it's not being made. Because I think every time they turn in a script, somebody at Disney goes, "We cannot produce that." I think that's exactly what's going on.
Remember, Poor Things. It was officially released by Disney, so that's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Walt Disney's Poor Things.
Wait, Poor Things?
Poor Things.
Well, that wasn't Disney. That was Searchlight. That was Searchlight Pictures. Which, to give them credit, no, actually, I want to give them a little bit of credit, because it seems like Disney is a little more hands-on with Searchlight, because they want to get in the awards conversation, So it seems like they leave that alone. Marvel, not so much.
So just to be clear, so this new Nosferatu movie, is this is Universal, right?
It is Focus Features, which is a Universal label. It's good, dude. It's very good. It is the most stressful time I've had in theaters all year long. And I mean that in the best way possible. You're going to squirm. You're going to bite your lip. You're going to be enthralled. And yeah.
So as we head into this holiday season, we have Christmas in just a few days. Have a wonderful time with your family watching Nosferatu.
Bring the children, everyone.
Bring the children. Great.
Yes.
All right. This was great, John. So thank you all for watching. If you like this big discussion, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell us about your favorite vampire movies, your favorite vampire books, your favorite version of Nosferatu, your favorite version of Orlok, your favorite version of Dracula. Tell us everything. And are you excited about Robert Eggers' new movie? Let us know. Let us know in the comments below. And then you can find me on Twitter at VinWritesWords.
I'm John, and you can find me at John Movie Watch on Twitter and Blue Sky.
And be sure to follow thecosmiccircus.com on Twitter and Blue Sky at MyCosmicCircus, where you can find more reviews, articles, editorials, and opinions like the one you just watched. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.